Ooh. Ooh. I think we are live. So while I get ready, let me just play this intro clip and then we'll get stuck into some news.
Young, and we didn't wanna be exposed. Even though it was cold, we were never wearing proper clothes. Always trying to be cool, trying to be those bad guys, smoking cigarettes behind the school. Always trying to be cool, trying to be those bad guys, you know. I still think about what we had when we were younger. We were never running out of time. As long as we had each other, everything was black and white. Driving in a car, never knowing how far we go. When we were younger, when we were younger, I remember a girl. I would sneak into her parents' house. I could stay for hours, and we looked into each other's eyes. Hey, I thought I was Romeo, I was looking for my Juliet. And as soon as I left, I told my friends. Those days made me who I am. When we were younger, we were never running out of time. As long as we had each other, black and white. Driving in a car, never knowing how far we go. When we were younger, oh, when we were younger. When we were younger, we were never running out of time. As long as we had each other, everything was black and white. When we were younger.
Here we are. Now I think I've got to move this monitor down or around. There we go. It was just poking out the front there, so I could just sort of see me or the bottom of this massive monitor that I've got here. So how you going? I'm streaming with Ecamm today. I thought I'd try it out with my latest setup because I've just got a new Mac Mini. So I thought that I'd try it with that. Now, am I on Do Not Disturb? I think so. Where is it on this new thing? Oh, yes, it is, I think. Yes, it is. So we're on Do Not Disturb. So have we all been? I've got a super chat already from Long Rider. Thank you so much, Long Rider. Let me just display this. Can I move that down? Yes, I can. Osler football players don't wear shorts. What do you mean? What does that mean? Football players don't wear shorts. I've got no idea. I don't know what you mean there. So let's see who's here. So Billy is here. We're just in a bit of pre-show at the moment, guys. Let me take this off, actually. I don't think we need it anymore. So what have we got? We've got Billy is here. Rocco is saying greetings from Southwest Florida. Steve is saying greetings from Adelaide. G'day, Steve. How you going? Is it Wirt? Hello, people. Hope everyone is doing well. Chris said, hello, David. Hot day in Los Angeles, but a good day for a Miller Lite. Cheers. as well. It's pretty cold today here in Melbourne, which is really weird for this time of year. So much for global warming. Greetings from Las Vegas. Is the video quality low res or is it just my end? Well, I hope it's not at low res. It's looking all right for me. I'm just not streaming 4K today, but it should be 1080p, so it still should be pretty good. Let me just check what it's showing here. Oh no, it's 720p. I don't think I can stop it now. Because I'm using Ecamm, it's on 720p today. I should have changed that. See, it's all brand new installs. That's why I haven't been on the last 2 weeks, due to the fact that I was setting this whole computer up. So it probably is a little bit down on quality because of I'm streaming 720p. You idiot, David. You are so stupid. Where is it? Yeah, I should have gone 1080 at least. So yeah, it is low quality. Yep. Donald says, hi. I don't think I can restart it now because if I go off and then restart it, I think the whole stream will be gone. G'day from North Carolina. I did say Donald, didn't I? Was hi. Ted said, hi from Colorado, David. Says 480p on my end. Oh, no, you're joking. I wonder if I can just stop it and bring it back on. Shall I try? I've got a feeling that if I stop it... Oh, yeah, I know, our trick, I love it. Thumbs down already. They're going to hate it when the... YouTube apparently are going to stop thumbs down. They're going to hate it, these haters. I love it. I'm thinking, oh, those haters are going to really hate it. All right, what I'm going to do, because this is such crap quality, I'm going to stop this. No, don't. It's fine. Looks, yeah, okay, well, I'll keep going. Let me know if it is that bad. I'll end it first. Let me try something on my end. No, it actually is. I'm actually streaming at 720p because I've just checked up here. So it still should look all right, but it's not even 1080p. I'm probably going to cop a bagging over this coming up, but well. Let me know in the chat whether you think I should stop and or go live again. Most are saying it's 720p, so if you want me to restart it, I will. All right, so how's everyone been? Yes, I've been missing for 2 weeks due to the fact mostly I've just got the new Mac Mini, MacBook Pro, sorry, and I've been trying to update it for the last couple of weeks. It's taken ages to get everything working again and setting up new setups with new hard drives and everything else, which I'll talk about because I've really got a whole new system that I've built up here. It said looks better now, 720p. Okay, so let's still see who's here. I'll go back to here. G'day from North Carolina. Ted said hi from Colorado, David. G'day, Ted. 480 on your end. Altrix here as well. Rick said, hey, David. Hey, all overcast in Brooklyn, New York. But what's that TGIF mean? It's cold today. It's only going to be a top of 14 here in Melbourne today. It's ridiculous. Hi from Tampa, Florida. Already a thumbs down. Yeah, I know, I love it. Ike said Nikon. We're going to look at the Z9 today. Actually, Ike, I'll just have a quick look at it. I haven't even looked at the specs. I've been that busy that I thought I'd check it out today with you guys, so it's going to be interesting. I asked if people wanted me to start again due to I'm streaming out 720p, but they're saying no, it's fine. The Z9, yep, I'm going to look at it. Let me try something on my end. Is trying to get the stream looking better. Most people are seeing it at 720. Looks okay here. I'm just going to get a bagging later on when everyone goes, it's only on 720p. Oh, I love it. No, Altric, I've got the 14-inch. I didn't want the 16-inch. I've got a 16-inch MacBook in the other room, or it might be a 17, actually. I wanted one more this time for travel, because when I just find the 16 and the 17th is just too big to lug around. So I went for the 14-inch this time, but it's fully spec'd, apart from I've got 2 terabytes of hard drive space in this, not up to 8. But it has the 64 gig of RAM. It's the max version with the 32 cores of GPU. It's incredible, actually. It's cut down my Final Cut editing. What used to say take me 30 minutes to encode 4K footage. Say if it was about 16 minutes, now it's down to about 4 or 5 minutes. It's nuts. It is that fast. I can't believe how fast it is, actually. So, yeah, it's fully spec'd apart from the hard drive I capped it at the 2 terabyte model. But the 14 I love because it's so much easier to lug around and stuff like that. So, yeah. I'm just trying to see where else. John is saying hello from New York City. Don't Stop looks fine. Altric said, I want one so bad. It's so good, Altric. It really is the best laptop computer I've ever had, actually. Rick said, thank God it's Friday. Oh, thank God it's Friday. That's what TGIF says. Okay. These damn kids don't remember black and white TV. It's 480 on my phone as well. Altric said, nice. I don't shoot video, so the base would work for me. Yeah, even the base apparently is amazing. It works really good with Capture One, I've found. I'm still trying a lot of stuff and still setting things up, but it's very, very quick with Capture One. I can't wait to see the next version, which will probably even be more designed for this little setup. The fans are terrific. Really, they don't even turn on. It's unbelievable. But like I said, the Final Cut stuff, it just breezes through 4K footage like it's not even a problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some news. Now, there wasn't stacks and stacks of news, but I thought we'd discuss some of the rumours that are out there, and we'd also go through some other things. I might talk to you too about the Tamron stuff that I was just reviewed recently, just give you my opinion about those 2 lenses. And then also we'll look at the Z9 too. So let's get started because let me just go on to here. So this is quite interesting. Sony Alpha Rumors have reported that there's 2 reliable sources have confirmed that there is at least 3 new cameras coming in 2022. Now, what they're saying here is that there's going to be an A9III, and I probably think this is probably true. Initially, I thought, well, will they do another A9III, depending on what the A7 IV has? But after what they did with the A7 IV, I thought, yeah, there's definitely still room for an A9III because of what the A9 is limited to that 10 frames per second and things like, the A7 IV is limited to that. So they'll probably try and answer something like the Z9 with the A9III, I think. I think it probably may get rid of the shutter completely and go totally electronic. So I wouldn't be surprised now that Nikon have just done that, because I just opened up the page a few minutes ago to look what the rumours were with it, or the specifications were with it. And it wouldn't surprise me now if Sony do it also with the A9III. They're also saying there's going to be an A7R5 that's going to come out as well. Now, that's going to be an interesting one to see where they pitch that at. What sort of megapixels they think they're going to go with that. There's been rumours all along that they're going to go sort of over, 100 megapixels or whatever. I'm not sure if... do you think that's really needed? I think where we're up to now is probably all we need, but some of you may think that you do need a higher megapixel camera, but it's going to be interesting to see what, they spec this at, whether it's got really high-end video features as well, and how it sort of tailors in with this A9III. I think the main difference that you're going to find is the A9III, like I said, will be totally electronic shutter, and it's going to be obviously no rolling shutter and things like that. So this is going to be the new super camera that's going to come out. It probably will be better in that regard than the A1, because there's been a bit of time since that's been out. I don't think you'll get the 8K on this, though. They might just still keep it as a more still-centric camera. On the other A9s, we haven't even got the picture profiles. So whether they'll continue down that avenue, I'm not really sure. So it's going to be an interesting one to see what they sort of say about that. The A7 IV, like I said, R5, I'm not sure what they will target in that end. Obviously, we'll have the new CF Express A series cards. It'll also have hopefully the new monitor that's on the A series of screens that are out there now. It's disappointing that they didn't put that on the A7R4, the A7 IV. So I think both of these cameras will have that new screen. I would say definitely both of these. It's a pity they didn't put it on the A1, but I would say for certain that this will have the new A series screen, which is, double the resolution that we've got with the current cameras that are out there. So I think that's a given. So it'll probably be a decent upgrade if you want that. They're also saying in here too that there's going to be a third unknown model. Now that's going to be interesting to see. I know there's rumours about some new cine type cameras that are going to come out there. I'm not even really talking about that today, but there's some rumours about that coming out. There's a new sort of small Venice camera coming out apparently. So I don't think that's it though. This could possibly be a new A7000 type series of camera, or perhaps even an A7C. Let me know what you think this could be, because this is an interesting one. I'm not certain yet. I think my sort of inkling is that it will be an A7C or an A6000 upgraded series of that. I know I've got the ZVE10, which I've got now that I'm using for this, but they probably could do with another high-end A6000 type, whether it's an A7000 series or something, I don't know, but that could be what that other unknown model will be. But there's still early rumours at this stage, but I would think that's probably correct in what they're saying. So I just thought I'd share that with you anyway. It's a bit of an interesting rumour that's out there. This next one, I just wanted to talk about these because if you went into Sony Alpha rumours, my video has been put up there with Dustin Abbott's video as well. You can sort of see them both here where I'm talking. I think there's Dustin Abbott. I'm not sure who the top one is that's there. It's Matt Solanijo. I haven't actually watched that one. I recently did have the 35 to 150 and also the 28 to 75. Let me just switch back to here. And let me quit. Let me just take off these questions because I loved using both of those lenses. And if you haven't watched the video review that I did, just go back 2 videos and you'll see it where I review both of them. Having used both, I think they're both amazing lenses actually, and I love the way that they worked. But I definitely think I could see a massive improvement with the 28 to 75 version 2, the G2 version. It really is outstanding. The focus on that camera was probably up there with the quickest that I've ever used, and it could be the sharpest lens that I've used period on Sony. It's nuts. I know Tamron G2 lenses are always very, very good, and that's one thing with the Tamron lenses, the G2 series particularly. Anyone that's had one of those lenses would understand that it is a great lens, and they put a lot of effort into it. The build quality was much, much better on these lenses than the previous Tamron lenses that I'd used. Yes, the 35 to 150, this one here, is really big. I mean, it is quite a big lens to stick on, but what an amazing lens for like a wedding shooter to take and have that f2 all the way up to, f2 at 35mm, and then you can use it at 150mm at 2.8 as well. So it's a great focal range for everything you're sort of doing in weddings or a travel lens. The only downside really with it was that it was pretty heavy and big. But if you're willing to sort of put up with that, it's a brilliant lens. The build quality is amazing. But like I said, the 2 tests that I did, the 28 to 75 was brilliant. And I was surprised at the difference between how that looked compared to my Tamron, the old Tamron 28 to 75. It's a pity I didn't have it longer, but obviously other reviewers wanted to get that lens to review for themselves, and they had to, I think, take it around stores and show them off there as well. But I really did notice a massive improvement over that. And in fact, if I had the money now, I would sell my other one and get that lens, because it is one of my staple lenses that I keep on permanently when I'm doing weddings and things like that. And the the 28 to 75 was a massive. It actually is a massive improvement in sharpness and rendition. The skin tones looked a lot more beautiful. The gradients in the skies, even in the skin and everything, was much nicer. And I loved my previous Tamron 28 to 75, but this is a big improvement overall. And I really did like it. So if you haven't looked at the review, check it out, because I, like everything else with my reviews, I show it with real images more than just, charts and everything else. Although I have bought some charts so I can show some sharpening stuff in future videos. But I do like to base it really on reviews that are images that people will actually take, and I think that's more beneficial for people that are using these. So out of the two lenses, for me, I would definitely prefer the 28-75 if I was having to choose one or the other. If I had the money, I would buy both. I mean, I would love that 35-150 to stick on my camera for weddings and then not have to change lenses at all, basically, for that sort of range that I'd be using. And plus, the f2, it's really sharp even at the f2 wide open, and that's, you know, it's brilliant. I did notice with the 28-75, though, it was definitely much sharper at the 75mm focal length. It's much sharper than the previous 28-75. Now, the 75 on the previous lens was pretty good, but I could see a massive improvement with this lens over the whole focal range. And yeah, anyway, check that review out if you haven't seen those reviews. Now, this is really interesting too, because I didn't realise that this was so hard to get, but they're saying now that, I think this is B&H, yeah it is, we're saying now that if you ordered an A7S III it will only ship from January the 17th. That's incredible. I didn't realise how hard these were to get. Has anyone even been looking to see? And are they really that hard to get? Keep firing away on the chat too, guys, because I will come back to the chat at the end of this. I still believe if I had the money now, this is the camera that I would buy. Even though the A7 IV has been announced, I think if I had the money right now, I'll buy another A7S III. I just adore it. There's just something about that camera that I just love so much. But anyway, if you did want to get one, looking at that, it's pretty hard to get. Now, the other thing too was I wanted to show this, because this was showing the size difference, and this is where Sony particularly are doing some voodoo magic in what they're giving you with the size of these things. You know, you're looking here at the EOS R3, and, you know, coming back from the days of when I shot the D4S, I really don't miss lugging around these massive camera sizes compared to what you're getting with the Sonys. They're showing you the size difference here between these cameras. And, you know, this would be the same size basically as the A1 as well. It would give you a similar size. I suppose they're just comparing this because they're the sort of direct competitors against one another. But it just shows you how small that the A series, the Sony cameras are. And that's one of the main reasons why I moved over, because of this amazing size that you can lug around. They're not, you know, they don't break your back, things like that when you're lugging it around all day on a wedding. I know some people love this because some people will put a, you know, your battery pack underneath, or your hand grip, and I've got that, but I never use it anymore. It's just sat in the cupboard actually, because I like the size that the camera is on its own. But you know, anyway, I just thought that I'd sort of show you this to show you the difference of, you know, this voodoo that Sony are doing with their cameras at this stage. I mean, I quite like the body of the EOS R3. I think it's good, but I'll look at the Nikon in a minute, because like I said, I haven't even really looked at it. I've been too busy to even sort of have a look what it's got. But from what I've heard with people talking about it online, it's a great release. So that's really cool. I thought, wow. And again, it's another reason why I've jumped over to Sony, you know, more than anything else. Now, let's have a look at this, because I wanted to talk about this because good on Nikon. It looks like they really have done a good job. I've only glanced at the first part of this today, so I'm going to have a look with you guys too to sort of see what specifications this has. I've been a bit ignorant of it because I've just been so flat out trying to get everything ready with this new computer and some other things, catching up on some editing and stuff like that I've got to do. But I want to go through this with you. So they're saying they've unveiled this Z9. Apparently, I read in somewhere else this morning that if you did want to get this camera, you'd have to wait 12 months if you want to get it in the shop. It's been that popular with photographers out there. So again, this is probably a good thing, because it might also put a bit of pressure on Sony and also Canon as well. G'day, Aaron. Notice you've just popped in. So let's have a look. It's saying that they've announced it. I don't know what date this was. What date was it? October the 28th. Yeah, so it's been out for, you know, a couple of weeks or so. So they're saying it's a 45.7 megapixel stacked CMOS sensor and has this new X-Speed 7 image processing engine. Now, I did read somewhere that they were saying that it's a Sony sensor, and Sony have patented the sensor that's in this. So that's interesting. I'm not sure if that's mentioned there, was it? No, they're just saying that it's the photo industry's greatest comeback story of a decade, and hopefully this will, do good things for Nikon. Like, I do have a sweet spot for them because, like I said, I used to shoot totally with the Nikon gear. But yeah, I believe it's got a Sony sensor in it from the rumours that I just read this morning. Let's just keep going down to see what else they're saying with this. So it will do, can also sustain fast continuous shooting bursts and is capable of in-camera 8K video recording for extended periods. Now, this is the interesting part because they're saying here the Z9 has a sensor scan. And now I'd love to know what it is actually. Sensor scan so fast that they've no need for a traditional mechanical shutter. So it doesn't have one. So this really is the first one of this type of camera. I thought Sony would have done this first actually. I really thought the A1 may have had this as their first camera where, that they would have had full electronic. And look, I don't ever really use mechanical shutter even on my A9. The only time I ever use it is because I need to use it for flash. If you have the A1, you can now get flash sync up to 250th of a second, I think. So you probably wouldn't ever use mechanical shutter anyway. And when you think about it, it's the best thing you can do because for starters, you no longer have wear and tear on your camera really at all. So that's one of the beauties or the benefits of using these electronic sensors that don't have, the manual shutter in them at all. The only thing is you have to make sure that the scan rate is fast enough so that you don't get any rolling shutter. And that's one of the beauties with the A9. Until now, the A9 really, the A9, the A9 II, and the A1 was really the only cameras where you could use a silent shutter really for things that were moving very, very quickly. All the others did have issues with rolling shutter. Well, it looks like Nikon have probably eliminated this. I'm sure they wouldn't have brought this out if there was rolling shutter at all because you haven't got the option of bringing a mechanical shutter in as well. And it must also have the ability to work very, very well with where you're getting the banding in certain lighting scenarios. So, that's a really interesting fact as well. Let me quit mail because I think it's open because it's bipping every so often. It's saying it has a rugged body design. Well, I'll have a look at that in a minute. It's similar in size to the D6, but in a 20% smaller body. So it's actually smaller than the D6. Oh, that's interesting. Let me go down here. And it's the other thing that I noticed too was that the fold-out screen has a really interesting look, and I'll show you that in a minute. It's got a 4-axis 2.2 touchscreen LCD, and it looks like it's pretty cool. I don't think it's fully articulating though, but it's interesting how they've got around that because it does this. That is a fantastic design if you want to shoot down low. Like I know Aaron does this all the time. I know Gilbert does that all the time. They're almost laying on the ground for every shot. That is a great system, and it's the first one I've seen that does that. I'm not sure if the original Sony A-series cameras did that. They might have. I can't remember because I know they had sort of a unique design as well. The body looks really nice, but again, it is much bigger than what we're used to with the Sony cameras. But I suppose if you put the battery grip on, they start to become a similar size. What else is saying? Giving the ability of photographers to tilt the monitor both horizontally and vertically. And it's got, what's it saying here? A bright quad VGA panel adjustable to 3000 CD M3 nits. Wow. For better visibility when shooting in bright situations. So it's obviously a very, very bright screen that's on the back of this. It's got vibration reduction, image stabilization has been improved. They're not saying what this is. It might say further down what the specs actually are all of this. I'm just trying to see 10 times faster than this Z7 II. They're saying it will go up to 1/32,000th of a second, and that's one of the benefits of having the electronic shutter. I love that about my A9. I adore the fact that on the A9, I can shoot in silent shutter and then go up to 1/32,000th of a second, because that means I can open a lens wide open and shoot in bright sunlight, which is terrific, and I love that aspect of it. That's one of the reasons why I always shoot with the electronic shutter. The sensor offers native ISO from 64 to 24,600, and it's expandable from 32 to 102, but usually you don't want to go into those expandable ranges unless you have to. They're also saying it has a flash sync up to 250th, so that's good. So it's sort of matching what the A1 has. And up to 1/8000 with high-speed sync enabled as well. Wow, I think that's better than the A1 actually. I don't think you can... Someone might be able to correct me because, like I said, I did test the A1, but I didn't do high-speed sync with it in electronic shutter. Can the A1 do high-speed sync up to that, or is it limited? I think it's limited just to this, isn't it? I think it's limited to 1/250th. You might be able to let me know in the chat whether that's true, but I don't think it can do the high-speed sync. You might be able to let me know. If that's true and this is different, well, this is getting a step ahead. Which is pretty cool. I think they were saying it's basically got the same autofocus number of as the A1. I think that's what I read in this other one. I'll have a look at that in a minute just to get some other things. They're saying subject detection algorithm will detect humans, pets, birds, airplanes, trains, cars, motorbikes and bicycles. So that's pretty cool. Other improvements to the autofocus include enhanced Iaf system that tracks the subject's eyes from further away and can change the colour of the indicator to green to confirm the target is in focus. That's pretty cool. It will do 120 cycles per second, even when shooting in burst mode. Wow. Nikon has also brought its 3D tracking over to the Z9. The ability to focus down to minus 8.5 EV. Well, that's amazing. That's incredible. That's almost pitch darkness, basically. They're saying that'd be great for astrophotographers and event photographers. Wow. It's got the dual card slots. Just seeing down here. Now, this is also interesting too because they're saying it will do 20 frames per second in RAW. Now, I know the A1 won't do that. I think you have to be in the lower RAW version or in shooting JPEG to get 20 frames per second. It drops down to about 15, I think. This is actually doing 20 frames per second in RAW. And they're saying it's got a buffer of over 1,000 images. It can hit... Now, this is nuts. It can hit 30 frames per second when switched to full resolution JPEG mode. And if in case of extreme speed is needed, the camera has a high speed frame capture of 120 frames per second. Wow. Now that's not bad because that's 11 megapixels. Like I love my A7S III and that's 12. So this is giving you 11 megapixels and you can do 120 frames per second. Boy, that really could mean the difference of getting a perfect moment or not getting a perfect moment. High efficiency RAW as well. It's got... let's see. The body looks like it's got an Ethernet port in there. It's got full HDMI, USB-C. Audio in and your headphones. Just trying to see what else it does. It also has 8K, 24p and 30p, but I believe they're going to release the firmware update that will add 60p later on. I read on that other page just before. The system is capable of recording 8K 30 for more than 2 hours. Wow. 10-bit N-Log as well. HLG is available. It will also give you H.265 and ProRes 422 HQ10 and H.264 MPEG as well. And they're saying, oh, yeah, it's here. The firmware upgrade will be released in 2022 that will enable internal 8K 60 capture with 12-bit NRAW, high-efficiency video codec, pro-level video features. Looks amazing. Good on Nikon. I mean, I'm really happy for them. There's just some images there. I'll leave these links down below so that you can have a read of these if you want to. But it looks like it's fantastic. You can see here that they're showing the electronic shutter won't have any rolling shutter at all. Golf swings are great to be showing rolling shutter because the actual club would bend. That's what's sort of showing there as well. I think it's fantastic. And that's why I suppose they're saying here that Nikon and the Z9 are the photo industry's comeback story of the decade. So it looks like they've got a really good camera that's been released, and good on Nikon for doing that. I love competition. I think it's great. So it's going to be interesting to see. This might be, like I said, perhaps with the A1 A9III, they may answer some of these things where Sony have possibly fallen a little bit behind. But I'd love to know what you think about this and, what I've sort of said. So, well, there we go. I mean, like I said, there's not much news, but let me click over because I'll just come back onto here and we'll go through some of the questions because I'd love to know what you guys think about some of these, about the Nikon. If you have any other questions you'd like answered about the Tamron lenses, for instance, as well. Let me just come down here. Thanks so much to Long Rider for the donation. Sorry if anyone's popping in late, but I am streaming in 720p. I made a mistake. I'm streaming through Ecamm, and because it's a brand new computer, I'm using the new MacBook Pro. I didn't change the settings, and it's set to 720p. So I do apologise for that. Let me come down to where people are starting to ask questions. Rick said, the video is fine. We log on for the discussions, not the video quality. Let me just have a sip of my Milo. Next week, I'll probably come back to 4K streaming. I'll try it again. I just wasn't sure today because I haven't tested everything with this new system or not. Aldrich said, I know an A9III is coming. He also said, my 15-inch MacBook Pro has a $850 trade-in value. Yeah, well, that's not bad, I suppose. What year was that one from, though, Aldrich? Plenty of reviews on the new Tamron lenses. Both are rated very highly. Yet they are. I was amazed in how good they both were, particularly the 28-75. I shouldn't say particularly because the 35-150 was also a really good lens, particularly when you zoom right in. It's beautiful, the rendering when you zoom right in, and I did quite a bit of that there as well. You don't have to be a genius to guess another A9 is coming or RV. A third Sony camera may well be an APS-C. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I think that could be the case. I hope that's true. I think it will have GS. What's GS, Altric? I must be a bit silly today. I can't afford the A1, so would love the A9III. Bird's eye autofocus, awesome. Photo Miak said, the real guess is how many megapixels will the A9III be? That will be interesting, actually. Whether they'll still keep it around that 20-odd megapixel. They may up it to 30-odd. So that will be interesting to see what they give in that regard. In my opinion, 45 to 50 on a full-frame body is as much as anyone really needs. Because I was talking about what would they add with the A7 the A7RV, I mean. Ike said, I agree. 33. The video keeps falling back to 480. I don't know why. That's interesting. Aldrich said, don't need more than 33. Like I said, I'm happy with 11, actually. But we don't... won't it be cool if the other camera is a medium format, competing with Fujifilm medium format? There was rumours that Sony were going to do that. Like, I'm not sure whether... I mean, do you guys think there's a need for Sony to do that? I'm not sure if there is. I don't know how many cameras Fuji sells in medium format. Because remember, if you do get medium format, you're not going to be... I don't think you could use the... I'm pretty sure you couldn't use the FE lenses. They'd have to release new lenses as well. So I'm not sure whether Sony would want to go down that avenue, but we'd have to wait and see. But look, they've already got the sensors. We know that because that's what's inside the Fuji medium format cameras. So we know they can do it. It's just a matter of whether Sony would want to go down that market. It's pretty hard to sort of... The thing that Fuji do very, very well is they haven't tried to do too much. And perhaps if Sony also tried to go into medium format, it may be too much. Do you think it's better that they concentrate more on upgrading the cameras that they've got rather than, say, going out into a medium format? I don't know. What else? Long Rider said the A9III will compete with the R3, not the Z9. Rocker said 2022 purchases A9III and new Sony 70-200 lens. The A7 IV will likely be 61 but faster than the current model. I mean, they could improve it. They could certainly make it faster. They could also make the silent shutter better. obviously a decent screen on that camera. I know there's a new version, the A version, that's out, so that's why I think it would definitely have that A version screen as well. Obviously the new cards will come out in it. They can't even produce the current models, I know, but that's the same with everything at the moment. It's the chip shortage is a real problem. You need a whole new set of lenses for, yeah, you will. Yeah, and that's the issue. I don't know whether Sony would have the time to do it, but I don't know. I might be wrong. I'm at work and have to roll. Everyone have a great weekend. You too, Altric. I don't shoot video, wildlife, and landscape. What's Ike said? Oh, he's talking to Ike, I think. Ike, I called the camera store today with your voice and cancel your Z9. A7000 for me. Have you ordered one, Ike? So you did order one? I can't wait to see your reviews on what you think of it. I think it's going to be amazing. If I had the money, I would like to buy you one, Ike. There. Rick said, yeah, a whole new market for Sony at about $4,000. It could be the A7 III or medium format. Yeah, I just don't know whether they would do it, though. You're talking about medium format? Aaron said, I think the unknown camera is an A7000 with similar specs to the A7C, but APS-C, better articulating LCD screen with full touch. Maybe, Aaron. Like I said, I also do believe that they will upgrade the A7C as well, but I don't think they may not do that for a while until the A7 IV has sold. Because remember, the A7C is sort of a little bit of a A7 III. It's sort of like a similar camera, only in a smaller body with an articulating screen and things like that. So that camera could be reviewed as well. Like, I'd love to see the A7C with dual camera card slots and things like that. So, you know, that certainly could be improved, but they may not want to take sales away from the A7 IV, so it may not be an A7C. It makes more sense to me too. I probably agree with Aaron that a more high-ended APS-C camera, because the ZVE10, like I said, I'm using that here now, that really is not a replacement. It's not a high-end spec camera. It's sort of like a A6400 with a little bit of extra sort of stuff on it. It's not really an upgrade to the A6600. So it would be great if they could bring out a high-end APS-C camera, and I think that would be terrific if Sony did that. Gear Test Outdoors said, received my 35-150 last week. Very impressed so far. I'm starting to lose my voice. It's because I haven't done a live for so long. Yeah, you will. That lens is terrific. I loved it. You know, I mean, look, the only downside I could see from it was it never had stabilization, but I didn't have any issues with using it. The stabilization in the body now of the cameras is good enough in most cases. You just have to make sure you don't lower your shutter speed too much, but it's a beautiful lens to use. John said, Rick, a company that built a full-frame camera system around a crop sensor mount isn't going to suddenly leap to medium format and build a whole new set of lenses. I don't see. Well, Fuji did it, John, so it's possible. But I'm not sure either that would be a sensible thing for Sony to do. You know, any company only has so much R&D, so I don't think Sony would have... I'd be surprised if Sony have the time and the funds to build a completely new system at the moment. I think they'd be better concentrating on what they've got and adding, you know, more features and things like that. So, but, you know, I mean, who knows? It's possible, that's for sure. Who's buying the A7 IV? I pre-ordered. Well, if you do want it, you must pre-order because that is going to be tough to get. I'd love one. It seems to me like it's got everything really that you could want in a hybrid camera. It really is a great release by Sony. If I had sort of endless money, I would buy one of those and a new A7S III. But certainly I can understand it. But if you are even thinking about it, I would get it because it could be that it's tough to get. If they're saying, like I showed you before, that the A7S is now into January before you can get it, you can imagine what's going to happen when the A7 IV comes out. That is going to be really hard to get. But, yep, I think there'll be a few buying that 000 because it's such a great release. Why hasn't the lower megapixel deterring you from a Sony A7? Why doesn't it deter me? Because I don't very rarely crop in camera, Rick. So when I'm shooting, the way that I shoot is I shoot in camera basically for how it's going to end up. I don't do things like wildlife and you know, bird photography, sports, things like that. If you do that, well, then you need a high megapixel camera. I shoot with the lens and try and get it correct in camera, so that I very rarely crop in post. I might crop 5% or something, or 10% at the most. But so 12 megapixel is ample for me. I can get a 20 by 30 inch print from that. I can go even larger actually, but 20 by 30 inch is perfect. And that's all I need. And it's made my workflow really fast. It's made my storage fantastic. I don't have to worry about storage any longer. I love the image that comes out of the A7S III as well. There's just something about it that I love, the look of the image that you're getting from those, you know, the sensor that's in that camera, just the light gathering ability of the camera. But there's just something about it that I love. And like I said, I would probably buy another one tomorrow if I had the money. Even though the A7 IV is brilliant, and I can understand people jumping at that, if I had to choose one for me out of those two cameras, I would get another A7S III. But that's me, Rick. Everyone is different in what they want, you know, and I just love that camera. And 12 megapixels is ample for me. I shot with that for years with the D3S and the Nikon cameras that I had. The D700 were all 12 megapixel cameras, and you know, 12 megapixels is ample for weddings if you are, you know, you're not going to crop in post. If you're going to crop in post, it's no good. But if you don't and you shoot like me, it's fine. John said the Z9 will be a smash. I agree with you. I think it will be. Tim said in the Aussie market, the Nikon Z9 is the same price as the Sony A1 and more expensive than the Canon R3. Pretty disappointing for Nikon shooters here in Australia. Yeah. Well, look, if I had the choice, I mean, I would buy the A1, obviously, over the Nikon. I still think that the A1 for me would be, well, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty spec'd up there, but the size would be the issue for me. I would like the size of the Sony A1, but they both seem like they're great cameras. They really do. But there's no way I would go back to Nikon now after, you know, everything I've purchased with Sony. I'd be sticking with Sony. So if it was me, I'd be buying the A1. But plus, I wouldn't want to go back to that big body size. I just don't want to do that anymore. But yeah, everything's expensive here at the moment, Tim, isn't it? David said the A7 IV has downsampled from 7K and is said to be better than the A7S III. Yes, it probably will be, Steve. Because it is downsampling from that, it will be incredibly sharp. But I still don't need that file size. Like I said, that's a personal thing though, Steve. But yeah. I love the fact that I can do 4K 120. I just love that ability to do that. You know, and I'm not convinced it will beat the A7S for video, but it's going to be interesting to see anyway what it has. They're both amazing cameras. How blessed are we in Sony that we, you know, if you want, you can go for an A7S III, or you could get an A7 IV and get that amazing downsampling from 7K, a 30 odd megapixel frame size. It's going to be a terrific camera. Nash said, "Hi David, I've ordered the A4, perfect second camera match with my S3. With a 16 to 35 GM, I will be able to get 24mm, and that's another good thing about, yeah, that megapixel on that as well. In full frame and APS-C at 50 frames per second without changing the lens." Ted said, "Very few A7S3 bodies on eBay, and they're going at a premium." I didn't realise that, though, because I haven't been looking at purchasing cameras. I didn't realise that they were so hard to get. Love a thumbs up too, guys, if you could give me one. It does make a difference seeing I'm, you know, like unsponsored. So I would appreciate it. But yeah, so A7Ss must be really hard to get at the moment. John said, "Never say never when it comes to Sony. If there's money to be made, Sony may well jump in." And Rick's talking about the medium format. I mean, who knows? They may. Not a Canon user, but the R3 is one pretty camera. Yeah, look, they're all amazing. Also, the A1 looks like it's going to be an amazing camera as well. Tim said the Z9 is $500 less than the R3 in the US, making it $1,000 less than the Alpha 1. I'm surprised it's so expensive in Oz. Yeah, who knows what's going on with the pricing here. John said, Nikon Australia probably think that their pros won't care that much. Well, they probably care, but we just haven't got any choice. Steve said he always uses his RX100 in electronic. Like I said, I always use my A9s in electronic too. I love it. The medium format camera is going to be profitable and hit with pure photographers. I don't want to bet against a Sony medium format with better autofocus. That camera could be a winner. I mean, the thing though, Rick, do you really think... I don't know if there's as much of an advantage anymore with medium format. Look, I used to shoot medium format when I used to shoot fashion. I did shoot medium format, but I'm not convinced now with the high megapixel cameras that there's a massive need for medium format anymore. I mean, people in the chat may be able to sort of discuss this as well, but the original thing with the medium... Look, I know that the sensor is much larger, and I understand that you're coming from that side with the sensor being much larger, but the main advantage when I was shooting with medium format was due to the resolution that the cameras were getting and the fact that you could do the high-end retouching for things like skin and everything else. With the way the sensors are going now, with the latest Sony sensors and things like that, where they're really high megapixel sensors now in Nikon, Canon and Sony, do you really think that there's a need for medium format as much anymore? I mean, I'd love to know what you guys think about that. I'm just not convinced. John said, I'm not a pro, but if I were, I'd sure care about the money. Most pros, and you know the interesting thing is, pros care about the money more than most of the sort of amateurs do, and that's why a lot of pros are still shooting with really old gear. It's not the pros usually that upgrade the gear so much. It's usually the hobbyists who have disposable income. And when I say disposable income, they have money in their jobs to supplement buying the camera gear. A lot of pros, I know a lot of wedding photographers that are still running around with 5D Mark IIIs. You know, they don't upgrade anywhere near the amount that the hobbyists upgrade. And that's, I don't know whether that's the same in the US, but it's certainly the case in Australia that the true pros don't have that money or the need to upgrade so often. They get a workflow that they use and that will go for years. And that's the, you know, they very rarely upgrade their lenses. They don't upgrade their cameras very often. The times when they'll upgrade is when the camera breaks usually, or if something comes out and it's a really big update. But you can let me know too if it's like that in Europe and the US. But it's certainly like that here in Australia. Pros will keep their gear way longer than what sort of the hobbyists tend to upgrade their gear. Oh, Aaron said, laugh out loud, I'm always on the ground, so it's a must for me to have a vertical tilt. Marvin said also, I love the Z9 for that monitor. Yeah, it looks really cool, doesn't it? That's one thing. I hope Sony... I was disappointed with the A7 IV that they didn't put the new monitor on there. I really was disappointed about that, actually. The other thing, too, to add, Rick, too, before, that I love the EVF and the A7S III. I use it all the time. I adore it. When you look at that EVF, and if you've got the A1, you'd know the same thing. It is literally like looking through the optical viewfinder. It is, well, it's better. It's stunning. It really is stunning. Marvin said there, I'm hoping the A9III will have a better... It will. It'll have the new screen. I'm sure of that, Marvin. Aaron said, I'm sure the next Sony A7 III will have no mechanical shutter. Yep, I agree. Wait, why are we spending all this time on Nikon? Last year they were going under. I know. That's why they're saying. That's why they came up and said they've done the biggest turnaround. So good on them. Nikon produced maybe the best camera ever. That's why. Because they produced an exciting camera. And like I said, good on them. The EVF is a bit of a letdown. What's that on? Is that on the Nikon, Tim, or using the A1 sensor? Well, I'm not sure. I don't think it's the A1 sensor. I think it's a new sensor. A friend of mine bought a Nikon D something last year and was worried about it not being supported when they went bankrupt. I know, thank God they haven't. The EVF is only mid-range and not quite up to the flagship standards. Oh, so that's on the Nikon, is it? Interesting. I just picked an OG A9 for $2,000. Wow, that's fantastic. See the great prices now you can get on some of these cameras now. Like, what a buy for $2,100 barely used. Amazing. Nikon needs long Z-mount lenses worthy of the Z9. The thing too is that the best thing Sony did was open up their mount. And this is the one thing, I don't think Nikon have done it. I know Canon haven't done it. But the best thing Sony did was open up the mount to third-party, like Tamron, Sigma, Samyang. I mean, how good is it that we can buy these other third-party lenses and stick them on the Sony? I think that's one of the best things that Sony did, and that was a big mistake by Canon. I don't know if it's the same problem with Nikon. It probably is with that new mount. Steve said, Aaron, I think Sony will keep the stack sensor for the more expensive cameras. The A1 does 30 frames per second with Sony. Yeah, but it doesn't do it if you're using the highest RAW, though, Nivak. I think it's only compressed. I believe the Nikon will do it with the... it'll do it continuously, I believe. Laugh out loud, when I point my A7R4 at a plane, it focuses to the plane tracking. Laugh out loud. Focuses to that plane tracking. What's that saying? When I point my A7R4 at a plane, it focuses to, is that train plane? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Tim said, I love the spec of the Z9, but I'm done with massive bodies, and I think Sony are kicking goal with their lenses. Yeah, they have improved the lenses dramatically, and like I said, even now with Sigma and Tamron as well. Anyone wondering about the Z9 should see Martin Himmer's wildlife videos shot in the Norwegian Arctic. Outstanding. Oh, okay. Next week, VHS quality. I know now you're going to be bagging me because I'm on 720p today. I'm probably going to cop some comments on it. Are you drinking Merlot in that coffee mug? No, I'll be back on the beer soon as we get into warmer weather. This is Milo. It's now gone cold. But I'm not drinking Merlot, no. What else have we got? On your A7S III, do you see much difference between fine and extra fine JPEGs? I don't know, because I never shoot extra. Look, there's no need, because I just put everything as the best quality that can get. The files are so small anyway, being 12 megapixel, that I just always shoot in the best JPEG, which is the ultra fine, I think. So I haven't tested it, Joe. There probably isn't much difference, but look, like I said, the file sizes are so small that... I just always shoot ultra fine. And I found that the JPEGs that come straight out of that camera are just to die for. They really are amazing straight out of camera. They're just beautiful. In fact, I always shoot JPEG plus RAW, but I'm often using the JPEG because they're just so good. Laville said, I bought a Sony A1 and it beats everything I've used in the past, but that screen kills me. I know, it's so sad that they didn't put that screen. I wish... And Sony, if you are listening to this, I wish you would give the option for people to pay for an upgraded screen. I would certainly pay to have my A7S III upgraded to that A version of that screen if Sony gave me the option. I would do that in a heartbeat. So I really wish, I don't think it's going to happen, but how amazing would that be if you had an A1 and you've paid all that money that you could pay to get that other screen put in it. But I don't think it's going to happen. I agree though. That old screen is crap compared to the other stuff that's out there. That's why look, it's a little bit better in the A7 IV, but it's still nothing like what Nikon and Canon have produced, and also what the A versions of those new cameras have as well. Sony A1 or the Sony A7S III for someone that does both photo and video work, regardless of price. Oh, if you've got no price, it'd be the Sony A1, definitely. Because it's, you've got amazing megapixels. You've also got 8K that you haven't got in the A7S III as well. I think the Sony A7, the A1 is definitely the pinnacle of what you could want to have in Sony if you wanted the best of all worlds, for sure. What else? Oh, we get the A1, but at $9,000 with taxes, it's a bit too much money. Yeah, it's so expensive here. I need a pro-level crop body. Yeah, well, hopefully that's what they're going to bring out with that other camera. I believe what Sony needs to do is an A7000 that shoots 6K. See, that's the difference now. Like I said, you've got to remember that the best you can get out of the APS-C models is 4K. What is it, 4K 30, I think it is. So they do definitely need to bring out a version that will do 4K 60 at least. So that may be what they're going to announce. It really, I do miss that in the fact that I can't shoot 4K 60 with the APS-C camera. So hopefully Sony are going to bring out, because I love the APS-C cameras. I mean, they're terrific. They're great to stick on a gimbal. The only downside really is that you just can't use a 4K 60. I mean, you can't get out of them. So I'd love Sony to bring that out. Do you think the megapixels will go higher than 60? Well, they may. I mean, there was rumours out there that Sony were going to bring out 100 megapixel sensors, so could be they may do that. Sony is already making medium format sensors for Fuji. Yep, they certainly are. Unlike Sony, Fuji never ventured into full frame. They never saw a gap in medium format and leapt into it. Sony avoided building a new mount for full frame, so it's unlikely they'd put R&D into medium format. I agree with that, John. I think that's probably true. And Sony medium format sensors for Hasselblad. Sensors are one thing, lenses are another. And see, that's the other issue. Like I said, you would have to buy new sensors too. Sony is currently making best-in-class lenses, but I doubt they will move to medium format because it's too niche. And that's what I think too. I just don't think that there's a need for them to do it. I don't really know. I'm not sure. Fuji probably are doing reasonably well, but remember, they're not competing with full frame, are they? They've kept sort of out that. So I think it's probably, I don't think Sony will do it. David, do you use your A7S in electronic shutter? No, I don't, Aaron. I'm not convinced that it's fast enough. I should do more testing with it, but no, I don't. I use mechanical. I should test it though to see how good it is. I'm frightened with anything other than the A9 because you can get caught. The problem is, it's the A9. I've never had an issue with banding in light, in any lighting scenario. I know some of you have, but I haven't. I've never had an issue with lighting, and I've never had an issue with rolling shutter. The sensor must be pretty good in the A7S3 though, because you get very limited rolling shutter, and that's one difference I must mention between the A7 IV and the A7S3. The rolling shutter is much better in the A7S3, and that's one thing for me that sort of important, because I do pan a little bit when I'm doing fusion type work in weddings where I'm shooting stills and video at the same time. I will be panning, and I may want to use that. You will get rolling shutter with the A7 IV, and that's already been proven with the reviews. So the sensor must be pretty quick with the A7S3. I must test it to see, because it might be very usable. I don't know. I haven't even looked if it has electronic shutter. But yeah, I think it probably would have. I'll have to have a check, actually. I haven't even looked at that, Aaron, so I'll have to look at that. I need more than 50 megapixel. I crop a lot for bird photography, so the A7 for resolution is pretty ideal. I wish Sony would make a high-end crop camera. Yeah, I know, that's what I would love too. Stack BSI medium format sensor someday, I guess. I think Sony are committed to the one mount concept, so I doubt they will do medium format. I don't think they will either. Mike said, would like to see what Sony could do with medium format though. Good point about upgrading, David. Disposable income versus survival income drives upgrading to a degree. Yeah, and that's the thing. See, photographers that have a business on it rely on to make money from that business. So they're very, very careful about how much they will spend on gear. And that's why they use cameras for so long without upgrading. Like I said, a lot of the wedding photographers I see are still using 5D Mark IIIs. And it's... you have to have a means or a justification for spending it. Now, they will do it perhaps sometime when their tax agent, if they're earning a lot of money, will say you've got to get rid of some of that money, and so then you'd buy gear to make it taxable. But apart from that, they will keep their gear for years. It's totally different when you're working on another job and you're not relying on photography as an income. If you're doing that, then you have that thing called disposable income, and that's where people have much more money to, say, buy new gear all the time and things like that. And that's why hobbyists tend to basically buy everything that comes up if they've got disposable income to do it. And that's where a lot of this stuff actually goes. It doesn't go to professional photographers. So it's interesting that you say that. Aaron said, not much need for medium format these days. If you're shooting film, then medium has more detail than 35mm. But digital, not needed unless you like to look at medium format. It has a special look. Yeah, it does. I mean, it does have a different look. But like I said, the resolution now is no longer the need because these high-end, cameras are up there now. Mike said, I am buying a medium format camera as soon as Sony makes one. Matthew said the Z9 drops down to JPEG only at 30 frames per second and faster. Okay, thanks, Matt. Nikon didn't open their mount either. Sony did. It out of necessity when they moved to full frame crop sensor mount. Canon and Nikon are milking their customers. And yeah, and that's one of the best things about being in the Sony system, isn't it, John? That, you don't have to worry about that aspect, that you can use these amazing third-party lenses. And that's bad because all it does is it just makes the lenses you buy more expensive. So, it's not good. The Z9 has a kind of limited buffer when shooting uncompressed RAW. Okay. The upgraded screen should be a free upgrade on the A1. I know I'd be dirty if I'd bought one of those. And yeah, they really should have put the new screen on that. Because the worst part about it, when they released the A1, it wasn't long after that they released the other two cameras, the A7 3A and the A7R 3, I think, A or whatever it was, that had the A version. I'd be pretty dirty too. Hurt said, true, Tim, it varies with the speed of the memory card, but I think the best available is about 84 frames before filling the buffer. A7 IV would be a good choice for sports. It would be, yep. It certainly would be. But the thing, too, is it's still probably not an A1 or an A9. Remember, you might need more than what that can give you. It's limited to the 10 frames per second, so for some sports, it's not going to be enough. It's the difference between catching that perfect moment. When you've got the A9 or an A1, having that faster shutter speed is the difference between catching that perfect moment where, the guy catches the ball or the bat's hitting the ball or a dancer is in midair. To get that perfect shot is the difference. And so, if you're really into sports, I probably would recommend the A9 series or the A1. Rolling shutter is my issue with the X0. What's that one? I would jump to Tamron 2870 G2 right away, but I heard about the new Sony 2470 GM. Do you have any information about the improvement on this Sony lens? No, but it is obviously going to be a great lens. The 70-200 is a good lens now. I wouldn't say it's fantastic, the Sony version. It is a good lens, though. The 28-75 is the sharpest, probably one that I've used. It's brilliant, actually. But it depends if you need the 24. If you need 24, well, then you obviously know that. I like the 75 because I like more of that portrait end. If I'm going to use the 24 side, I'll jump on my 24 GM. The 1.4, because I love that lens so much. So it doesn't bother me not having 24 in that lens. I prefer to have the 75mm focal length because I think that's a beautiful focal length that you can use to get really nice portraits. And I find 28 is often wide enough for me anyway. So, yeah, it just depends. But obviously the 2470 GM is going to be a brilliant lens. Every new GM lens that they're bringing out now has been incredible. It'll have the new linear focus motors in there. It'll have better optics, obviously. It probably will be lighter than the current 2470. So, I don't think you're going to go wrong with either. It just depends on whether you'd like to save some money and get the Tamron. But if you need the 24, obviously you'd have to get the 2470. Joe said the Sony camera channel has posted a new camera announcement on Monday 10th. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think that's that new Venice camera, Joe. It's a video camera, so it's not a photographic one at all. It's more of a I think they're talking that they're, the camcorder type camera, so it's going to be that, I think. It may be a Venice camera that's going to use FE lenses, though, but we'll have to wait and see what sort of we see in that. But, that's what they're sort of saying in that regard. And that's it. We've caught up. It's just about my lunchtime, actually. It's 1 o'clock today, so we've gone for an hour. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in today. I really appreciate you all popping in because we're back. Sorry about streaming this at 720p. I'll make sure I fix that for next week. It'd be interesting to see how many people comment in the chat. If you have any questions, leave them down below because I'll post those. I check them daily as well. I've got a few reviews coming up this week too. Check out the ones that I've just done with the Tamron lens, obviously, and I did do one with a really good light yesterday. I've got a new gimbal that I'll be reviewing in this coming week, probably. I've been sent the new Moser Aircross 3. So stay tuned for that, because I'll have a look at that. That's pretty cool, actually. So stay tuned for that. I'll have a review up of that soon as well. I'll have it in VHS quality next week. I love it. Thanks for the live stream, David. I think all the points has been covered well. My fingers are crossed with the A9III. And that's about it. All right, everyone. I'm going to pop off because I think it's time for me to get some lunch. Thanks, everyone.
If you're looking for some crazy, I'll tell you everybody's standing in a line for the water slide. You can come on over, we can take the roller coaster. And you know everybody's looking for a ride in the water slide. Water slide. It's just another Friday.